Lost my heart and lost my soul. Now it's time that you won't know. Lost my mind and lost my goal.
We are going along the philosophy that we need to develop our own. We have the youth academy, we have the college academy, we have the reserves, and we feel that we need to develop our own. And that reserve program, based on the Women's World Cup and players being away, the Olympics next year, players being away. There's a lot of talented players here, so we're always looking for those players that can come in and we can train them up and make them ready for the pro team level. The whole idea of the reserve team is we want to develop the players that are either on the bubble or we see the potential in to become professional players. So we want to put them in the most professional environment we can, something that mimics what the pro team do. So, they pretty much, same training routine. They'll train 4 times a week, 3 times a week, depending on what their game schedules are. They'll train either before or after, sometimes side by side with the pro team. They have their own coaching staff, their own athletic trainer, their own training facility, obviously shared, and they play in the WPSL, so they have a 10-game season, 5 home games, 5 away. So it's a competitive league that they play in, and the objective for us is to be able to identify the players who are developing in that reserve team. We want to try and make sure that the reserve team are playing the same system as the pro team, same philosophies in terms of playing style, same instruction in terms of roles and responsibilities on the field. So it's easy for a reserve team player who's called up to be able to fill a roster spot for somebody on the pro team and understand what the coaching staff are talking about or what demands the coaching staff want. So it's important for us that we make sure that the reserve program is as professional as we can make it and does mimic the way the pro team operate. Obviously we can't pay them, they're compensated through different avenues. When we're not asking our reserve team players to come here and stay here for 5 months and trying to live off their own means. So we help them there. We have a couple of different programs. We have development training centres programs, which we work with youth soccer groups locally, town groups, to run clinics, and we do camps during the summertime as well in different communities. We obviously have our own youth academy as well, where players can become mentors, and we use them as coaches in that program as well, where they can be compensated. So these players can come in and they can earn a good amount of money while they're staying here, training, playing, developing, and where possible we're helping with the host families as well. We have a large amount of host families, so and we're very thankful for that. So these players, the reserve players that can come in, we can put them with a family, so it feels like home from home. They come in, they train as a reserve team player. At times they might be called up to train with the pro team, so we get a closer look at them as well. They play in a competitive league, they're developing, they're understanding the breakers way, and they're able to earn some compensation by basically sharing their knowledge of the game, by coaching soccer, by mentoring young soccer athletes. So that's the process of what we use, and with the Women's World Cup this year and the Olympics next year, there's going to be a lot of chances for reserve players to come in and fill roster spots for the pro team players who are away, and it's a good opportunity for us to build on our roster as well, to see what we're going to do in the next 2 years, 3 years.
Hi, my name is Rachel Wood. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Laguna Niguel, California, and this is my 2nd year on the Boston Breakers, my first full season with the pro team. Gosh, I think it was last January, and I was actually out at the track. I was running, trying to get fit, hoping that I would get called into a camp somewhere. I had sent out my highlight film that I made myself, and I just sent it out to anyone whose email address I could find, and my phone rang, and I looked at it, and it said Kat Whitehill, and I was like, I wonder why Kat's calling me, and I know her from UNC, so I pick up the phone, and she's like, hey, it's Kat, and we've got our GM Lee Billiard on the phone, and they were wondering if I was entered in the draft or not. And I said yeah, but because I was already a year out of college, I was eligible for the draft, but they wanted to bring me into preseason early, so they signed me as a discovery player. such a great experience. I got to be around all the girls. We were competing every day, and it was a blast. So preseason sounds scary, but it's really fun. You get to know everyone, and it was just a really great experience for me. Tom comes in, and Tom's the head coach, and he's got just the best soccer mind. I learned things from him in the first day that I didn't even know existed, and I've been playing for 20 plus years. So he starts talking about number systems, and this person's a true 10, and I'm like, does anyone else know this? And so he had to teach us the whole numbering system, and that was the first day. But I learned so much about my technique and spacing and how to defend and defensive principles that I didn't know before. So preseason was a really huge learning curve for me, and it was just basically one big camp, and I was trying to just take in as much information as I could. At the end of preseason, I found out that I was cut from the first team, but they offered me a spot on the reserve team, and I just felt that this place was so good, so informative. They wanted to teach soccer, and that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in a place where I felt like I could really learn, get better, and improve my game. When I found out initially that I didn't make the roster, the final roster of 20 for the first team, I was pretty bummed out, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play, on a reserve team, or should I go and try and, find somewhere else? And then I spoke with Tom and Lee, and they were like, well, listen, we want you to stay here, we want you to train with the first team. And so I thought about it, and I was like, this is a fantastic opportunity for me. I get to train, I get to learn, and I get to defend, as a central defender, I get to defend some of the best attacking presences in the game right now. So I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be in and work hard every day and work with these players. And I think by being in and being able to play with them, that really helped take my game to an entirely new level. So I loved the reserve team. The girls that came into it, they came in straight out of college. I was a year out of college already, but we had the best group of girls. Everyone loved each other on the team. The chemistry was great. We all worked hard. We had fun with our coach, Frankie. He kept it sort of light and fun. We had a blast. It was so much fun, and training together and just training on a team where everyone likes each other is just a lot of fun. And everyone gets better because everyone feels, comfortable and confident in the environment, and it's a great environment to continue to hone and develop your skill. You feel like when you're on the reserve team that it's, an honor or a privilege to get called up to the professional team. So what'll happen is, the reserve team is playing on one side of the field and the pro team is playing right next to them, and sometimes you'll start out over there, they'll tell you before practice, sometimes you'll get called over in the middle, but anytime you get called over, it's just a great chance to prove yourself and to prove something. And I think that created a really competitive environment, and it just made everyone better. It made the reserve team players coming over better, and it made the pro team players have to step their game up because on the reserve team everyone wants what these girls already have, and so, which isn't a bad thing. It just makes for a really great competitive environment where everyone is getting the best out of themselves, and that's what you want in a professional setting. You want everyone training at their best all the time, and that's how we're all going to get better. And so I think it was a really good mix of having two teams, but then calling people over to really have that extra little edge of competition. So it was one morning before practice. I was doing sort of my normal routine. I'd get up and brew a cup of coffee and have a bagel, and I looked at my phone and I saw that Lee had called, and I was like, oh, that's weird. He probably just, by accident, just butt dialed me or something as he sat down in the car. So I put my phone back down. My phone's on silent. And so I make my bagel and I go and I look again, and I've got another call from him with a voicemail. So I listen to the voicemail, and He's like, hey Rach, it's Lee. Give me a call. This is pretty urgent, so if you can call me back before practice, that'd be great. I was like, what's going on? So I call him, and he wanted to know what my plans were and, you know, sort of what I wanted and if I liked Boston here and what my plans were after the season. And I told him, I said, I've fallen in love with Boston. I love the city. I'm loving where I'm living, and I'd like to stick around. And, you know, I'd like to make some money coaching because that's, you know, that's good, and it's easy for me, and it's what I like to do. So so coaching would really be a great help. And he's like, well, that's awesome, you know. So anyways, I'm just calling to let you know then that we want to invite you to the professional team. We want to contract you. And I was like, oh my God, seriously? And he was like, yeah, seriously, like, you've shown tremendous improvement, both in your skill and your fitness. And we think that you can play at this level. So super, super exciting for me. And I had to scoot out the door to go to practice, and I wasn't allowed to tell anyone until Lee had made the final announcement. So I was all, you know, giddy at practice, but I couldn't say anything. And then when the announcement came out, you know, the reserve team girls were great. They were so happy for me. And it was really fun because I got to celebrate with both teams because I had been in with both teams. And the culture of the reserve team is such that you want to see everybody do well, you know, and at higher levels, you know, that gets harder because everyone wants a spot. And so for these girls to not be mad or upset or, you know, anything that they could have been, they were so happy for me and so congratulatory. And I think that's really the culture of the reserve team, and it was fantastic. And then, you know, the first team was incredibly embracing. I'd been there, you know, since March, so I knew everyone. So it made for a really, really easy transition for me. My debut was in Portland, and it was the first nationally televised game of the year on ESPN, and I think there was 15,000 people there. And it was my job to man mark Christine Sinclair. We were trying a new formation, and we were going to man mark and then play with a sweeper behind. And I went out there and got lit up for a hat trick. Christine Sinclair scored 3 goals on me, and I never wanted to run farther or faster away from a soccer field. I was terrified. They called it, or I like to call it, my baptism by fire. So I was baptized, and I thought I was never going to see the field ever again, and I thought I was going to get cut right there. But Tom believed in me, and, you know, he sort of just told me to hang in there, and it'll get better. And the ball came from a corner kick, and I had been fouled. I was going up for the header, and I had been fouled, so I landed on the ground. And I look around and see one of our players coming up to hit the ball for a shot. So I'm like, get up. Just get up in case the shot rebounds. And Unger, the Portland goalkeeper, parried the shot, and I was right there, and I just tapped it in. And it was the most incredible feeling because it was at home, and it was against Portland, a team who, you know, I'd had sort of a vendetta out on. And it felt really great, and all of my teammates were so happy, and we ended up beating them 2-0. I had the game-winning goal and the shutout, so that was probably the highlight of my season last season.
So a big play in the 10th minute. Now the corner kick is headed out to the top. Whitehill with her left foot, blocked in front, and the score! Rachel Wood scores her first professional goal.
I guess the biggest success stories for us in regards to the reserves and the college academy. I mean, the reserves, we've obviously got Rachel Wood. She's a girl that came into pre-season last year. She was probably on the bubble of pre-season. You know, she was close to getting that contract, pro contracts, towards the end of pre-season camp. We thought there was just a little bit missing from her game, and we wanted to stay in the reserve program. We knew the potential that she had. Thankfully, Rachel did stay in the reserve program. We were able to work on her. she was, I think she'll admit it herself, she learned things in that reserve program and training with the pro team that she hasn't learned before in terms of her soccer knowledge. So that really helped develop her more as a player. She understood the philosophy of what we wanted. Her sharpness got better on the ball and her fitness got better as the season went on in reserves. And we're able to monitor her progress and bring her into training with the pro team, as well as her doing all the reserve bits and pieces. And then we just seen her blossom. The things that we thought she was just shy of during pre-season camp, we got to see coming through the reserve season, we got to see that those pieces were in place, and we felt it was the right time to be able to offer her a pro team contract. And we did that, and she made her first appearance. I think it was in Portland in front of 13,000 fans, I think, live on ESPN. So that was a good debut for her to do. And then she kept her spot after that and finished the season strong. And I think that's a real good success story. Somebody that can come in, just be on the bubble, but then stay, work in the reserve program, and the benefits that we have from that. Suzanne Perez is another one, very talented, somebody that we liked during the open tryouts. Unfortunately, she wasn't in the college draft, otherwise I think we would have selected her then. But she did come along to the open tryouts, and again, that's another reason why coming to these open tryouts are good. Coaches are looking for certain things. General managers are looking for certain roles to fill. Suzanne's a very technical player. We spoke to her. We wanted to keep her in the reserve program as well, just to keep her fit, just to have her understanding of the philosophy that the coaches want to play and the style of play that we have here in Boston, or what we're developing to play. And she did that, and again, she really shone in the reserve program as well. So as soon as we were able to, we offered her a pro team contract as well. I think she's very deserving for it, and I think she'll fit into the pro team and the pro league very comfortably from what we saw in the reserve team program. Kim DeCesar. Kim was another one that came in during pre-season. We got her. She was our last pick at the college draft, and we brought her in pre-season. She worked really hard. Her character and her work rate's tremendous. She's another one that stayed in the reserve team program. She got better, and she got better quickly while she was involved in that program. And then while the allocated players were away, the national team players were away, Kim got called up to the pro team, and she made a debut during one of those games. I think it was a real good moment for Kim, or it was an even better moment for a lot of the staff here as well. We really got close to Kim. A great character. Work rate was absolutely tremendous, and she really was a real asset for us to have. And for her to come on and go through the reserve program and really make her debut, a pro debut, was it was heartwarming for a lot of us. And we came, and 3 or 4 others, they actually, after the NWSL season finished, they actually went overseas and got professional contracts overseas. So we helped them in that aspect, and some of them will come back, and I think some of them are in other NWSL camps right now. So I mean, the reserve programs it's a real success for us. The college academy, obviously, the most recent ones. Steph McCaffrey played in our college academy for 2 years. I've known Steph and seen Steph play for a long time. I coached against her at the youth team levels. I mean, she was a handful then, and she's a handful now. So I've seen her development. She was in a good youth club. I've seen her come all the way through. We've watched her a lot at BC, where she's really come into her own as well. And for her to come into the college academy, I remember her first season at the college academy, she literally tore it up. I mean, she was spectacular. If we had the option, if she wasn't in college, we would have put her in the pro team right there and then. And that's been recognised, I think, with her U23s, and then being called up to the full national training camp and being able to stay on with the national team players. I think that really shows that the players that we're looking for, the players that we're identifying, and the players that are coming through our programs are the right kind of players that we want as we're looking to build our roster and really build a young, exciting, talented team. So we're able to draft Steph with a lot of hard work into that. We're able to make it happen, and we're real happy to bring Steph here. And I think she'll make an immediate impact in the pro team. And then another girl, Bianca Calderon, who was part of our college academy. I actually used to coach Bianca when she was 16. Tremendous kid, tremendous character, tremendous athlete, work rate. She went on to Northeastern, where she really shone. I know the coaching staff loved her there. We were able to monitor her as well. She played in our college academy. She was captain of the college academy this previous year, or one of the captains. And she's a leader. She works extremely hard. She's the kind of player that we want, someone that's, come in, willing to do the hard work, wants to learn, wants to get better, wants to make players around her better, and has that young, exciting energy and talent that we're really looking for. So again, more products for the college academy that we're able to bring through. And there's some other girls that are in the college academy that we're really looking forward to seeing how they develop in the next couple of years. And then, hopefully we're able to obtain their rights and bring them into the pro team, or bring them through the reserves and then into the pro team.
Welcome to the Breakers family.